All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special edition of Let's Talk Asphalt Racing Live here on a Friday night. Normally we do the show on Monday nights, but my work schedule has been hectic. So we are live here tonight, Friday night. I got my good friend Jimmy Smith from the TQ Midgets will be joining us here in 1 second. But first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to CMP Race Shop, the official show sponsor of Let's Talk Asphalt Racing Live. I want to give them guys a big shout out. They are located at 244 West Prospect Street. Give them a call today. They are looking for mechanics. Also want to give a big shout out to Mike's Auto Works LLC. He is located at 1585 East 361st Street, Suite M. You can call Mike today. Tell him we sent you at Redline Radio 440-477-0424. Want to give them guys a big shout out. Mike Henderson, figure eight driver this past year. Sold his car. He got some things he's working on. Also want to give a big shout out to Dynatech, which is the hotline sponsor. So if you guys want to call in the show, you can call in at 216-259-2062. And if you guys are on the east side, make sure you guys look up R&Z Towing and Recycling, 440-749-3622 is the way to get a hold of them. We are getting ready to go live here on Let's Talk Asphalt Racing Live. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to kick it off right here. Dynamite Dave here again. You guys can join us on YouTube, Redline Radio LLC, Facebook. You guys can join us on that. You also can join us on our Twitter page, or I'm sorry, X page now. You can also join us on Twitch. You can join us all over all your social media networks. And ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing in right now my guy, Jimmy Smith, over there from the TQ Midgets. Jimmy, how you doing today?
Great. How about yourself, buddy?
What's that, buddy?
I said I'm doing great. How about you, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing good, man. This work schedule's kicking my butt. But, hey, man, I'm glad I got you on here. How's things been since the last time that I seen you?
Well, I dropped something, though, and I haven't found it yet.
I know. I get you with that all the time, man. So, yeah, I mean, you did drop something and you couldn't find it, and that was your phone today, man. So explain to us how that happened.
It's just been a crazy day for me. So my phone's over at my buddy's. I'm waiting for him to drop it back off to me. So luckily I was able to sneak on my mom's computer and make this thing go forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, man. I mean, I'm looking at your guys' schedule here. You guys got a nice put together schedule. You guys start off on April the 13th and you end your season September 21st and 22nd. Or I'm sorry, September 28th at Lancaster Speedway. So about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 races on the schedule, man. You guys are going to be busy this year. And you guys spread out through Holland Speedway, Paynesville, Lorraine Raceway Park, Erie, Lancaster, all over the place, man. So how much hard work goes into this TQ Midget racing? And also not only that, but putting the schedule together and getting these tracks to work with you?
Well, the schedule kind of puts itself together. We kind of fall back and wait for Lancaster because that's our home track, Lancaster. And we wait for them to put their stuff together. And then we work with the ROC, and their dates kind of correspond with Lancaster already. And we mix it in with Randy, from Lorraine and Paynesville, which is pretty easy working with that fella. And, it turns into a pretty heavy schedule. This year is a little lighter than last year, not by much. But the nice thing is there is a weekend off every month and gives, people a chance to go do something else for a week.
I know the racers always complain about either A, there's too much racing, B, there's not enough, or C, they travel too far to go racing. I know that you guys are a tight-knit group, man, and you guys always bring good midgets to the track. I mean, and you guys always have a good time, although sometimes we make you guys race with no lights on.
Don't get me going on that one.
Yeah. Don't shoot me for that one. That was just a little inside joke. But yeah, man, we love having you out there, and I love, bonding with your drivers and bonding with you because you guys are, man. Like when I first saw you guys, I'm like, oh man, I thought I seen these guys race go-kart tracks before, and it's totally different. But yeah, I mean, so take us through your schedule here, Jimmy. So you guys kick off the season on April the 13th at Lake Erie Speedway. You guys ever been there before?
Oh yeah, we race there yearly. This race on April 13th is a makeup from actually a couple of years ago. The Race of Champions, the 250 that they run every year. It's one of the longest running races in the country, and they just want to. They've been trying to get this race in, and it's rained out for 2 years. Normally, it's at the end of the season, and they decided to try it in April to see how it goes. Because normally in Buffalo here, where we're at, in April, you might still have a foot of snow on the ground. You never know.
That sounds like Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, not much different. We catch a little bit more off the sides of the lakes than you guys, but other than that, it's pretty much the same.
And then you guys travel to Lancaster, you guys' home, second week of the season. How about that? For the people that ain't never been there before, how do you guys do up there?
Yeah, this is a flat quarter mile. It's combined with just over a half a mile outer track. It's a unique setup for us. Some guys call it a road course of left-hand turns. It's very unique and difficult to drive, but our guys have been racing it for 15 years. And so they know the track well. And then we're off to see you in Ohio in our first of 3 visits to Ohio for next summer. And
I love
that's always a great show. Yeah, it's always great to come out there. Last year we couldn't come out to Cavalcade at the end of the year because of the racing for the scheduling conflict, but we'll be back there this year for Cavalcade, and the teams loved it. The 2 days, just the camaraderie, just the whole scene. 2:30 in the morning, everybody's still out there playing around, having a good time, and gates open at 7 the next morning.
Yeah, and then you guys go right from Painesville to Lancaster, so that's 3 weeks in a row that you guys are racing right there.
Oh, yeah. We continue on, and then after a second visit to Lancaster will be our first race at Holland Speedway. When we go to Holland and Lake Erie, we're part of the Race of Champions. We've hooked up with those guys, and they're another, they raced at Lorraine with you guys last year. And we hook up with those guys. We try to hook up with the bigger shows when we can. Most of the time we're not a headlining division, but we're a damn good support class.
Yeah, you guys have a big following with you guys too. I know that you guys average anywhere from 10 to 16 cars every time you guys come out, and that's great for a little traveling series, especially you guys going as far out as you guys do.
Yeah, when I first hooked up and met with Randy and everybody, it was kind of funny. We decided to meet in Erie, PA, because it was halfway for both of us, and I thought I was going to meet with Randy. And then I showed up, and he had his entire team with him, his mom, his dad, the entire crew. And I'm like, what? Kind of shocked. But at the end of it all, we sat down, we had a meal together. It was a fantastic meeting. And we've been coming to Painesville now for about 5 years now, maybe. But then the Lorraine mix showed up, and that's on the other side of Cleveland, which makes the drive a little bit farther for our guys, about another hour. And so that's why we're only coming out there once this year, and just because I can't get the guys to go out there more than that, because we got all the local tracks that we do.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you there, man. I mean, some of you guys come from about 5-6 hours away, correct? I know that there's a few of you guys that come and doing that on a Saturday and then staying at the track and then leaving on Sunday. That's an all weekend thing, man. And I understand it. People cannot be mad at you guys for that. They have to understand, I mean, that's what these traveling series are about. Some of them come from far out, man. And I mean, you just got to bear with them. So yeah, I mean, I get it, Jimmy. Then you guys go back to Lancaster Speedway, and then you guys are headed to Holland, like you said, and then you join us for a 2-day show over at Lorraine on the 14th and the 15th. I see. So let's talk about that real quick. What details can you give us? Can you give us any details on the 14th and the 15th? What you guys are going to be doing?
Well, it is Super Crown weekend, I can tell you that much. But the format and everything else that goes with it, that's still a little bit to be determined. Last year we ran the triple 20s, and we ran into the issue with the lights at the end of the third 20. But water under the bridge, and we move on. And we're looking forward to coming back to that track. We love racing at that track because a lot of our races there go green to checkered. You don't even have any incidents. For our guys, going in 5 deep and 5 wide into turn 1 is no big deal.
And actually, as I look at your schedule here, Jimmy, that's actually pretty perfect week to be at Lorraine, especially in the mid-June right there. It's the weather's not too hot. It's kind of nice and cool there, and you guys are there for back to back. And I mean, that's good, man. That's a pretty perfect spot for you guys at Lorraine right there.
And it works out because the week before that or the week after that, we're off too. So, when you go do them long distance double headers, it's nice to have a break afterwards and not, you got to keep going.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And then you guys travel from there back to Lancaster, and this is a Thursday show on June 27th. So what's up with that?
Yeah, that is part of I believe it's the Old Boy Cup 60. It is a ROC tour mod race that we're a part of. Lancaster has run a couple of Thursday races for a long time, and they do pretty good. It's some tracks have a hard time doing anything other than a Saturday night, but once or twice a year, Lancaster can pull off a Thursday show and have a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in that, man. I might have to make the drive down there for that. And then you guys, the 2 days later, you guys go to my boy Ronnie Flames track, Chapel Hill Raceway. How's that?
Oh yeah, that, and like Holland is a 3/8 mile high banked fast track. Same with Lorraine, a little faster. Same with Lake Erie. But then you go to Chapel Hill, that's between a 1/6 and a 1/7 mile, banked little bull ring, depending on who you ask. So we can go from, super speedway for us, which is like Lorraine, Holland, and Lake Erie, down to, basically indoors, outdoors.
And then you guys go from there, do a back-to-back at Lancaster Speedway, again on July 13th and the 20th.
Yep. Yeah, and that's when we start to dive into our local part of the stuff, and we get into the heart of the schedule. Like I said, we got 9 races at Lancaster over the course of the summer, and it's always a fun track. And the beauty of that for our guys is it's 20 minutes away. It's not a travel. It's some people. There's a couple teams I know that live right down the street from the track. So some of them would prefer if we were just a track class at Lancaster because of the convenience factor.
Yeah, I mean, again, people can't fault you for that, and hopefully Lancaster would take you guys on if that opportunity ever presented itself to you guys. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, we like what we do. We like being independent so that we can go play around and come visit people like you a couple times a year. But like I said, at the end of the day, Lancaster is our home track.
Yeah, and then you guys go from Lancaster, you're back to Holland Speedway once again. That's your your second race of the season at Lancaster on July 27th. So, and then you guys go from there to your second appearance at Chapel Hill. Touch on them two real quick.
Yeah, we I think the 27th is, I can't remember. It's part of it's another ROC show. When we go to Holland, it's always with the mods, whether it's with the tour mods or the sportsman mods. And they always put on a good show. Holland's it's got a long-standing tradition. It's kind of slowed down over the years. They only run a few shows there now through the ROC. And then we're back to our buddy Ronnie Flames, who I got to give a shout out to. I don't know if he's watching this or not, but I don't know if I'm going to, let the cat out of the bag yet. But, congratulations, buddy. I'll just say that.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
To you, Ronnie.
To Ronnie. He's welcomed a new sibling.
Oh, well, congratulations to fatherhood there. I don't know if that's his first one or whatnot, but congratulations there, Ronnie.
That's the first one for Ronnie.
Yeah. So then you guys go from Chapel Hill back to Lancaster, your home track, and then Holland Speedway again. And then and then another Thursday event over at Lancaster on August the 29th.
Right.
And then September 7th, you guys will be at Lancaster once again. And then,
and those are part of our stuff.
Those are what?
Those are part of our regular season shows. You know, they run our regular 4 divisions. It's the Sportsman Mods, Street Stocks, 4 cylinders, and us. Us and the 4 cylinders race on the small track, which is a 1/4 mile inner. And then the Street Stocks and the Sportsman run the big track, which is a 1/2 mile or 5/8, depends on who you ask.
And then September 14th and 15th, 2-day show, which I do believe that is the cavalcade for Painesville Speedway. You guys will be there for the 2 days. I mean, again, man, I love having you guys there, but having you guys there back-to-back nights is also not only a treat for the workers, but it's also a treat for the fans, because the fans absolutely love you guys at Painesville Speedway. They do. I talk to them all the time. They're like, hey, when are the TQ midgets coming back? We want them here more. And I'm like, yeah, some of them guys come 5-6 hours away, so it's kind of hard for them, you know, to get there, but they appreciate it, man. They really do.
Right. No, that's awesome. Every time, ever since the very beginning when we've been coming to Painesville, everybody there has treated us fantastic, from all the workers to the safety crew and everything, and the fans especially. Our number one fan, I forget, Tom, I can't remember his last name, but he's always at Painesville. And I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yep, I know exactly who you're talking.
No, I mean, that guy wears our shirt every time we are at that track, and, you know, just loves us. And now he comes to Lorraine because we started racing Lorraine.
Yeah, I mean, shit. So May 11th, June 14th and 15th, and September 14th and 15th, I'm going to add to your guys' feature win. So Redline Radio is going to ante up feature win hats for you guys on them nights at Painesville, Lorraine. So whatever nights you guys there, I'm going to give, well, podium finishes, because you guys do top 3. So all 3 drivers will get Redline Radio hats in on the podium.
Nice. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. Anything I can do to help you guys out. So that takes you through the 2024 schedule. Okay. So 2023 is just about over. We got about 30 days left in this month. I know you guys crowned your champion. Take us through that. Who was your guys' champion this year? How did the 2023 race season go for you guys?
Yeah, we had a great year. I mean, we had 32 different TQ midgets race with us over the course of the season. You know, we had about a similar schedule to what we're running next year. And when it was all said and done, Kyle Hutchinson came out the champion. He had 7 wins over the course of the season, and they were just lighting it up. You know, they had a run in Ohio where they won 5 of the 6 races out there, and then the other race, he finished 2nd. And you know, we had a good run this year, and it ended with the U.S. Open. We always end our season with an open race. We have our championship at Lake Erie, or depending on where they run that Race of Champions 250 at, we have that as our championship weekend. And then we have an open race for the U.S. Open, and that's kind of just for the prestige of the race. But at the end of it all, Kyle won. Eric Musto came in 2nd place, and our good boy Ronnie Flame finished 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys had Charlie Schultz a couple times in this series. Is there any word on the street if Charlie's going to come back and run some more races with you guys?
Yeah, Charlie will definitely be at the Lorraine show. I'm not sure what else. You know, he got a ride from one of our guys. He usually drives for Blue Mets, who is president of the East Coast TQ Midgets. So when those guys, that orange 33 and that silver number 2 that are racing there with him and Tyler Wagner, those cars come from like the Allentown, PA area, and a different series from us. But, you know, we're all buddies, the series is, and we get together when we can, like we're going to be getting together in Florida coming up here in February.
Yeah, nice. Maybe, let's see, I'll be hired in by then, so maybe I can make the jaunt down there and come check you guys out. What are you guys going to be? What's that?
I already got an announcer. Sorry.
That's all right. Hey, I'll just come down there and enjoy some Florida weather.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea of it. You know, the Brad Hockaday is the promoter of the Showdown series, and he put this whole thing together. You know, and on the note of that, I wouldn't have known about any of this if it wasn't for our guy Randy Maggio. He was down there last February going to Showtime for the Outlaw Figure 8 race. The race rains out. He's looking for a show. When he's driving to Daytona, finds out about Auburndale, goes and sees the show, finds out what it is, and messages me from the track and said, "You guys got to get involved with this one. It seems perfect for you." And so I reached out to the promoter, and Now we're racing for 3 days in Florida in February. Auburndale Speedway.
You cannot beat that with a stick, man. You can't beat that with a stick. I mean, I know when I was down in Rockingham, North Carolina, a couple of years ago with the CRS trucks, we rained out. It rained all through the week there, man. And we were looking, whatever tracks were in 3-hour distance, we were going to go race at or go watch it and check out some racing. And unfortunately, the time frames from when we needed to be back to the track didn't match up. I do believe that the day we raced, which was October the 11th, they had a big late model race that was due to start, but it got pushed back till that Monday. And we were all like, man, we really want to get home because we've been on the road for 5 straight days. We're showering at the racetrack, which is not a big problem, but you just want to get home, man. After a long week of racing, you want to get home. We put a lot of work into the Rockingham. I mean, race. I mean, and you talk about announcing there in that place. And once you walk over the hill and turn number 3 and you look at that place and you see how huge it is, you feel the nostalgia, you feel the racing there, you just feel it, man. And it was awesome. Probably the highlight of my racing career of doing that, which was totally great, man. And I thank Billy and the crew at the CRS for allowing me to have that opportunity to do it, man. And that was just great. But yeah, being at the racetrack and checking that stuff out, with new divisions and whatnot, and especially working with other divisions, you want to reach out to them and say, hey, why don't we get you guys involved with this? So, down the road, it's all about working together. That's exactly what it's about.
I mean, we've had some issues with our local tracks where the tracks didn't want to work together. And recently, and it's caused all kinds of, how it goes with the racing politics. Everybody knows that game. But nowadays everything seems to have changed and the tracks work together. And that's why it was easy for us these days to put a schedule together, because the tracks work together. They don't want to race against each other. There's just not enough fans out there to do it like that. Buffalo's even a little smaller than Cleveland. I think it's a little smaller. And, so there's only so many race fans out there.
It is, man.
Got to work together to make it work these days. It's, hey.
Yeah, you got to work together sometimes, man, to make it work. And like you said, Jimmy, sometimes you have to lose in order to win, especially in this racing business. I mean, everybody's against everybody. You get the few and far between that like to work with each other. And, that's what I've always liked about the racing community. When I started racing in 2000, I do believe it was 2000. I started racing in 2000, and I've been going to the racetrack ever since I was a kid, since 1987. And I just loved going to the racetrack, not only because of that, because, you work throughout the week, or you went to school throughout the week and you wanted to get rid of them problems and enjoy yourself. And I missed out on vacations. I missed out on, football games, playing baseball, playing basketball and all that to go to the racetrack. And then, finally a couple of years ago, when my brother passed away, I ended up, taking a couple year hiatus to, go to the racetracks and go support other tracks. But when you're at the racetrack and you worked at a racetrack before and you're actually on the microphone, or you've seen the ins and outs of working, you actually miss it, man. You really do. People are like, oh man, I don't miss that stuff. It's a headache. When I left announcing at Painesville in 2019 for the year that I did, I missed it each and every day, dude. I really did. I missed it. And it was something that me and my brother did from racing when we raced together all the way till his passing. I mean, the week before he died, he was at the racetrack, man. And that's what he would want me to be, is at the racetrack. And
absolutely.
And it's tough, man. It's tough to walk away from that. People are like, oh yeah, it's easy. You spend all your money doing that. You did when you raced, but I'm going to tell you, I don't miss working on the car throughout the week. I don't miss loading the tools up. I don't miss loading the tires up. I don't miss all that stuff. I love getting in my Jeep or whatever vehicle I'm in. I love getting in that, going to the racetrack, driving, and leaving at the end of the night knowing that, okay, yeah, I can go home and take a shower, but I ain't got to unload no tools. I ain't got to load no race cars, none of that stuff at all. I love doing that. But, I mean, you got your ups and downs.
Right? So before I was a promoter, I was a car owner. and went through all that. We used to have 3 cars in our shop. Remember, our cars ain't very big, but in a 24-foot trailer, you could stuff 3 of these race cars in there. So we were always, haul and unload and fixing broken race cars, this and that. And now that I'm just a promoter, I just get yelled at by people. That's all.
So what would you rather do? Would you rather own cars or be a promoter?
I don't know. I enjoy putting the stuff together. I haven't got it all down with, it's only been a couple years now. Some at track, stuff, or, how to handle certain situations. I could get better. That's for sure.
I think we all can get better.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. There's always room for improvement. But at the end of the day, we know what we want to do. We want to go and have fun on a Saturday night and race our cars and hopefully load them up the same exact way we brought them out, and then crack a beer and watch the rest of the racing.
Absolutely, man, because that's what it's all about. You bring your car there in one piece and you want it to leave in one piece. Unfortunately, accidents happen. I mean, and fortunate too, because sometimes people take you out when they're mad at you. I get it. So that's the fortunate part about it. And unfortunately is the ones where it's racing accidents. And we all get that. We do. And, Jimmy, you talked about going from an owner to a promoter. How do you feel that transition was when it was presented to you to be the promoter of the TQ Midgets? What was your first thoughts about that? Because I know, me personally, when I was asked to announce, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. And the track owner at the time was like, well, Dave, you know everybody here. Why not? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do it. And he's like, well, I'll pay you. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a whirl. So I ended up doing it. And, when I first started out at Sandusky Speedway on the microphone out there, and I was driving and announcing at the same time. So I would go do my race, get out of my car, go up to the tower and announce. And when I was racing, they had a fill-in announcer. And then, that got to be too much. And then I settled down for a little bit and was like, I need to do one of two things. I need to either put my announcing career on hold, or I need to put my racing career on hold. Well, come to find out, the decision was made by other things in life that I couldn't afford to go do the racing. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this announcing thing, but I'm going to still have my car and go race whenever I wanted. Well, that never happened. So I never got back on the microphone for a couple of years after that. And then I went to Painesville Speedway in 2013, and my transmission blew up. And that's when Randy Holbrooks came to me and says, Dave, you want to announce? And I said, I don't know, man. I don't. And when I first thought about it, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. But sitting in the stands as a kid, watching super modified racing, street stocks, modifieds, because E-mods are my favorite division. I love that division. Watching them, I never thought that I would ever be on the microphone, but the opportunity presented itself, and here I am this day announcing, and that's how it is. But that's my story. So how about it, Jimmy? What did you think about when they presented you to be the promoter or whatever you are with the TQ Midgets, man? What was your thoughts on that?
It really didn't go down that way. It's kind of a extended story. I was already promoting. I run Chapel Hill too for Ronnie. And so I had gotten some, experience doing the promoting thing. And then in 2020, we went down to Florida and raced down there, and I promoted those races. And then in the beginning at Lorraine and Holland, or Lorraine and Painesville, they were independent shows, and I was running them too. So when the previous series, the NYPA series, decided to retire, there was just a need there. And with everything I had been doing already, as far as promoting and doing that type of stuff, it just seemed like an easy mix to put it all together. I knew it would come with some hassles and this and that, but you got to remember, I grew up around these cars. I was around them since I was a baby. And, at the racetrack with my family as a little piss pot kid, and I was selling programs for the Can-Am Midgets back then. So for me, it's almost an honor that somebody like Harry Macy did, and to continue it and to keep it alive and to keep it going. And like I said, have I made some mistakes on it? Sure. But the idea, that we just want to race, we want to have fun and be involved with some good races and just have a good time. And I'm enjoying it so far. And it's definitely had its moments. It can get frustrating at times, but for the better good of it, you kind of just eat it and you move on. And that's like the season's over now. When the season ended, I was so happy that the season was over. I didn't want to be around it. But 3 weeks later, I miss it. And now I want to go racing again.
Yeah, that's how it always is, man. You're saying, man, this has been a long season. We just want to get it over with. The Turkey Leg just ended at Painesville Speedway, and we're like, man,
right.
I know I am. I'm like, man, racing's over already. And then I see Randy down in Vegas. I wanted to go to that race. I see Randy down in Vegas. I'm like, man, I wish I was there, but I wish there was racing all season long. I wish there was a way that we can make that happen. Somehow, some way in the future, somewhere where there's an indoor place where they race street stocks, modified supers, maybe some multi-millionaire can build something and do that. I mean, that's just my suggestion. Roy Lowe, thank you for joining the show. Ace Racing League, John Quinn and Kevin Boston, they're going to
decades, man. Over the dream of everybody from Buffalo that knows me, that knows that I've dreamed of an indoor facility. I've chased it. I've researched every indoor arena around because we used to have it at Niagara Falls at the convention center, and now that's a casino. So we can't race there.
I know that there was a race in what is it called? The Little 500. I think that's at Purdue in Indiana.
Right.
I went there a couple of years ago. It was pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Tony Stewart was there.
The Rumble Series, you mean?
Yeah, the Rumble. That's what it is.
The Rumble Series, yeah. Like our cars are the same cars that race Atlantic City, Allentown, for the Gamblers Classic. I'm still waiting for the tire, by the way.
The tire?
Yeah, for the Atlantic City. Remember, you're supposed to sponsor us.
Oh shit! I totally forgot about that, man. I really did. I forgot about that. I got you, man.
I got a little bit.
Yeah.
You get me every time at the track, so if I can go shot in at you, I got to take it.
Yeah. So people that know you, Jimmy, what is the one thing that they don't know about you that you got a secret talent or whatnot? I see you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Your Bills ain't doing too good this year.
No, not so good this year. Well, I don't know. Ain't much. Pretty quiet life for me, man. I don't know. The ones that know me know me. I don't know. My family's been involved in these cars. We took about a 20-year hiatus from racing and got back in about 20 years ago. And, to go from being the program seller for probably the founder of TQ Midget Racing up here, Harry Macy, and to be where I'm at now is an honor, and it's something to feel good about.
See, Jimmy, that's another thing we got in common because I started selling programs at Lorain County Speedway back in the early 90s. They were $1.25 at that time, and everyone that I sold, I made a quarter off of.
Yep, me too. Just to get home and run back to the local bowling alley so I could play video games.
I used to take my money and spend it on baseball cards and basketball cards back in the 90s because they were really big, not knowing now that they would come back out over the last couple of years and be pretty big. But any chance down the road, or have you ever turned any laps in any of these TQ midgets?
I've gone around a few times. I'll jump in my brother's car at Chapel Hill because remember, that's only a 1/7 of a mile or a 1/6 of a mile compared to one of them big old 3/8 miles where you're ripping over 100 miles an hour down the straightaway. I'd go and tinker in it, but so years ago, I was going to buy a car off of Joe Barber, another TQ. He used to be involved with the NIPA crew, and I met him up at Holland Speedway to test it. I jumped in it. I came out of 4 and I put the left 2 side wheels up in the air. I raced the car back into the pits. I jumped out of them and said, nope, no thanks. I'm not a race. Nope. I'll be an owner or maybe something else, or I'll do the promoting thing, but no way. My balls were in my throat and it was over. it was a wrap, buddy. I was no race car driver. And, now we got Mr. Ronnie Flame. And, I had Andy Jankowiak driving for me for a while before, my last car. And, I had fun being an owner. That was fun. But, now I'm a promoter. I'm doing different things and chasing things. And, now we're starting to get ready for this Florida thing. We're getting pretty close, a couple months away now.
Yeah, I mean, is this going to be a one-time thing for you guys, or do you guys think you guys are going to do this moving forward?
No, this has got the potential to become a yearly deal, because what's cool about this is, so in the Northeast and Southern Ontario, there's 5 different TQ midget clubs out there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And at the core of all these cars, they're all the same. The frames are the same. Everybody runs the Suzuki 750 GSXR. Where you get into the differences of these different series is, I kind of call them like we're all siblings. We're all the same at the core, but yet we all do it our own separate way. And where you get into the differences is with the tires, wing or non-wing, or what you can do to that 750 motor, Suzuki. Some people, like indoor, game on, and us, we're stock. Don't do anything. Change the cam timing, send it, and go. But that's one of the beauties of this Florida deal, is that we're not dependent on nothing but the mighty midget cars. We have cars coming from all 5 different series. 3 of the 4 reigning champions from their respective series are racing, including Kyle Hutchinson. You got Josh Patterson from the East Coast, and you got Daniel Hahn from the Can-Am Midgets all coming down. The Can-Am Midgets has a strong field, and they're all based out of, just above the border from us in Ontario, Canada, race near Toronto, Hamilton, that type of areas. And, they got about, I think right now there's about 6 or 7 that have registered from that club alone. And I'm expecting maybe 24 cars down there.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's, in the summertime, it's different because you only have the cars from your series. But in the wintertime with something like this, well, take your wing off, put the right tire on, and go to Florida.
Have you guys ever raced with wings on?
Our guys will go and venture with other series. Like, I've sent cars up to Can-Am. We've gone to Can-Am races over the years. Personally, I wouldn't even mind, to tell you the truth. But in our area, it's just, how it is with the sprint cars. They're diehard one way or the other, wing or non-wing. And in my neck of the woods, especially the old timers, they are all pretty diehard on the non-wing. But for me, I think the wing looks cool, and I think it's, visually appealing to the fans. And, I bring it up every now and again, and you never know. But you don't really, for us, it makes the cars faster. And we don't know how, do you need to go faster? We're pretty fast already.
I know that
all the series do them different. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, do your thing, and nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's just the way you do it.
And that's what makes you guys unique. That's what makes you guys the TQ midgets. I mean, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you sit back and you watch these cars, and I don't know if you have any favorites or whatnot. And being a promoter, I know that you can't announce that or say that, but is there anybody who you've seen in the TQ midgets over the last couple of years that said, man, this guy's got something, or this kid's going to be good if he gets the right opportunity?
I don't know. Fancy Pants has been working his way up pretty good. Brendan Wallace, who won the last race, that was his first ever win in a TQ at Painesville at the end of the year. So in the beginning of this last year, right, he was his first race ever in a TQ midget, his first practice, his first lap ever at a TQ at Lancaster. He goes into turn 3, and we always take a bet. Is the new driver going to spin it in turn 3? It's kind of always the running joke. And he spins it out, and he can't get it fired up again. So I run over there, and he's pretty much going, I hate this. I don't want to do this ever again. And by the end of the season, he came up to me. He's like, I absolutely love this. I'm so glad I changed to these cars. And by the end of the year, he was top 5s, top 6. And then this past year, he was getting top 5s on a regular, some seconds, and then got his first win at Painesville.
So that's who to look out. That's who to look out for, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's only 19. But you got to remember, we've had some drivers that have been driving these TQ midgets for 20 years. Hutch has been in his for 15. There's guys that have been doing this for a long, long time. So it's if you're coming in from an outside series that usually races a wing or a softer Hoosier tire, you're going to have a hard time coming in and beating these guys. One, because it's their home tracks, and it's the same the other way around, us going to their series. But these guys have been racing these tracks for so long. They know every nook and cranny of these. Holland is a bumpy 3/8, and these guys know exactly where to put their cars. Dave Wallaber, who I think is probably the smoothest driver in a midget I've ever seen, he just lets the car float to wherever it needs to go. And the next thing you know, he's winning.
Jimmy, out of all the tracks that you guys go to, I know that Lancaster is your guys' home, but besides Lancaster, what is your favorite track to go to?
Painesville.
Are you just saying that?
I love Painesville. You got to remember, when I was a kid, we used to do a weekend of Painesville and Cloverleaf.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've never been to Cloverleaf Speedway.
I mean, I had to be 10, so I don't really remember anything but the big train bridge going across the top.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I love it. Just, sometimes locally things can be a little tense and, not that it's a bad thing. It's just different. When we come out to Ohio, the love is there, and it's always a fun time. And Painesville is a unique track, man. It's not like your typical, Saturday night event. Their highest class is pretty much, maybe a good 4-cylinder with a ton of figure 8 racing. The wetting down to the track at the end of the night is awesome.
Yeah, people get nuts for that, man. People get on their feet for that. People stay there to watch that. It is pretty nuts, man. I remember my first lap ever at Painesville Speedway. Rick Parasese took me up, and my brother was with me, and I've never been on the track before. And Rick told me, he goes, you got to get behind that 23 car. You'll have something if you get behind that 23 car. So we go out. He pulls me about 2-3 car lengths. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm going slow. Come back in. My brother's like, you're second fastest. I'm like, ain't no way I'm second fastest. He's like, dude, you're second fastest. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So we go back out again, and I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. And I'm like, man, this place is so small, because I was used to racing Lorraine and Sandusky, where Sandusky's so big, a half mile. Then you go to Lorraine where it's 3/8, with a high banked. I flipped over the hill over there, and then I come to a small track where it's kind of a dome stadium. If you really look at it, you're sitting down on top of the track, which is cool. But my first laps at Painesville Speedway, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. My first race at Painesville Speedway, I'm like, these guys are nuts. I don't want to do this. My car's so nice. I don't want to. It is. It's a very unique track. And what I've learned over the years from being in racing, and I've heard this from multiple drivers who've raced at Painesville Speedway and seen it with my own 2 eyes. If you can race at Painesville, you can go just about anywhere you want and go win. You can.
Just tell Randy to prep that outside line for us when we show up, please.
Hey, listen, we've been having problems with that, and I know that they have tried their best over the last couple of years to make it better. I don't know what the solution for that is. I don't know if you have to tear the outside groove up and relay new outside down there. I don't know if they're talking about that in the future. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for that, Jimmy, but a lot of people ask about that. It's hard to please everybody. And, sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, well, if you start on a pole of Painesville, it's an easy win because there's no outside. You're not going to get past. But I'm going to tell you, I've seen some passes in the CRS trucks. I've seen some passes on TQ midgets. I've seen it happen. I have. So for the people out there who say that there's no passing, is it inside passing? Absolutely, but it's still passing. I mean, try to set your car up for the outside. I mean, because I don't know if you've ever been out on the track and took you honestly said you haven't took any laps, but but Painesville is a little different. It's concrete on the straightaway or blacktop on the straightaway, concrete in the corners. That's kind of cool, I think.
Oh yeah. And I mean, when they put the turtles in, though, is when it hurt us. because the undercut, you know how the guys coming out of forward would go way deep underneath somebody and make their pass that way. But, you know, they'll hit our guys' left front will hit that last turtle coming out. And when you're a 900-pound car, you know, coming out of that turn pretty hot, that turtle's going to send that car a wobbling. And I seen Ronnie Flame try it a couple times to see if it would work. I was up in the tower with you, and we're like, nope, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, oh, I don't know, man. I mean, 2023. I'm like I said, I'm glad it's over, but I'm looking forward to 2024. I really am. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, seeing your guys' schedule, that's what it's about. Because as a kid, as a guy who works at the racetrack, it's always nice to get out to your fans your schedule before anybody. So now you can go plan and say, hey, I'm going to go see the TQ midgets here. I'm going to go see the super modifieds here. I'm going to go see the modifieds here. I'm going to go see the street stocks here. I mean, I don't like, and I understand it, you know, because the tracks and the promoters and everybody get busy. But sometimes if you wait, I would say if your season's done in October, your regular season, you should have your schedule out no later than the first week of December. That way there you have your dates locked in and people can't argue with you and say, hey, I wanted that date. You stepped on my toes, blah, blah, blah. That's just me looking at as a fan. As a worker behind the scenes, I get it. I understand.
And it lets the racers plan their vacations around the open weekends and, you know, things like that. But for us locally, it's kind of turned into, you know, who can get their schedule out the fastest, which works fantastic for us because, you know, once like Lancaster gave me their dates and I had to go through the dates. We had one date, May 11th, that we were going to be at Lancaster, but we had already booked Painesville. So, you know, but it was just one race out of all 9 or 10 they had us for. So we had to drop one. But, you know, 9 races during the course of the season at one track is a lot.
It is, man. It is.
But, you know, like, that's all right, though. When it's 20 minutes from home, it's not so bad.
Yeah. I mean, with the, like you said, I went to Holland, I think it was about 4 years ago for the big enduro race. And it was 3 hours and 30 minutes from where we were at to there. They changed their name for a second, didn't they?
Yeah, they were Hillside. It was when some guy came in and leased the track out and he wanted to change everything. And it was just one big disaster.
Yeah. And I think in the pits, they had some like every pad had like a railroad ties with lights above it. Is that still there?
They got the telephone poles with the lights in there with the outlets. And, you know, I mean, in its day, Holland was a fantastic track. You know, it just, you know, it is like most racetracks. You know, it was in its heydays in the 80s and 90s, or maybe even early in the 70s. And, you know, but it's still a lot of the same stuff. But every time we go in there, it looks a little nicer, and they seem to be at least keeping it going. You know, they only run 3 races there this year, 3 plus the enduro. You know,
Jimmy,
so they don't
that's another thing I was going to ask you. You being around the sport for a while, what do you think that us as racers and us as tracks can do to get more kids involved into the sport, especially with TQ midgets? You know, you got Braden that you said who's 19 years old, but how do you get the younger generation with him to come and go see the TQ midgets or go into any series moving up there? How do you get these kids away from their phones and get them to the racetrack?
I think you got to do a little bit more. I think, you know, it's more difficult today than it used to be just because of all the phone, like you're saying, you can't get their eyes off of it. But I think the key is the carts for the kids. You know, get them. So I love what Randy's doing at Lorraine with the cart program that they're starting up this year. And, you know, that's the way to get them into it, you know, get them involved. And, you know, maybe sitting at the track and enjoying it might not be the greatest thing for an 8-year-old kid yet. But if you got him in a go-kart a couple times and then he could see what could possibly come a few years down the road, well, then you might have something, you know. And I mean, we have carts at Chapel Hill, and one thing we're going to be announcing for the 2 races we have at Chapel Hill is that there's a new Champ Kart series starting up in Western New York, and they'll have a junior and a senior division, for the kids to get started on. And that series is going to run both dirt and asphalt, so you get a little bit of experience at it all, because the TQ midgets are not a starter class. You should not jump into that from the jump. You should go get in something else for a little while first. They're the cars with the left side weight that they have and the way that they're set up, they'll get loose on you in a heartbeat. And you know what happens. They can go for a ride.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Jimmy, what do you got planned coming up here for the end of the season? How was your Thanksgiving? We got about 8 minutes left to go here in the show. So, real quick, recap your schedule for 2024. What race do you think that the fans should be at that you think is going to be the best race of the year?
Well, besides Florida in February, the biggest show of the year right now, I would have to probably say it's the Super Crown Nationals. That the supers, the mods, I'm not sure the full lineup of it yet. Between that, we have a few ones that back home that when we team up with some bigger divisions, it's always a packed house and it's always fun. And the Tommy Tony is always a big race at Lancaster. And the Harry Macy for us at the end of the year is always a big race. We have our normal memorial races and pay tribute to the people before us. And, but still all in all, as far as because you know what it is, though, we don't get the supers. It's funny because when we leave Lancaster and go to Lorraine that day in June, the 350 supers come into Lancaster. And we go to Lorraine and join up with the big block supers and race there. And, but that's my favorite show. I love that show. Seeing the supers. Last year they had the must-see sprints there too, so that was just an incredible show. TQs, sprints, and supers all on the same card. That was incredible.
I'm gonna try and talk Randy into let me hire a band for that night.
Oh God, we'll never go home. I'm gonna be someone over then, eh?
Yeah, Friday night we can hire a band.
Oh God, just go over to Chester's trailer. He's as much entertainment as a whole band himself.
But hey, Jimmy, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule today. Well, it was supposed to be Monday, but unfortunate work calls. My boss is texting me right now asking me, hey, can you stay over in the morning for 4 hours? No, you already have me working 8 hours overtime, and I've stayed every day this week. I'm not doing it. I'll do it on Sunday when it's double time.
Enough's enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't have that. Well, your football team's still doing pretty good, though, but you don't got a quarterback.
Hey, pump the brakes on that, man. Pump the brakes on that.
Our teams are very similar, though, in makeup and style and all that. You know what I mean?
Yes, they are. They are.
Because Buffalo really, when you say you're from Buffalo, New York, you're not really from New York. You're more part Canadian, part Midwest. Absolutely nothing to do with New York City type.
Absolutely. So, Jimmy, again, I want to thank you, man, for joining us here tonight, man. Hopefully you have a good Christmas, and I'll talk to you before then. Like I said, I'll get them hats for you and whatnot. We'll talk when I see you on May 11th out at Painesville first, and then we'll go from there, man. But enjoy your time, your holiday. Get your phone, man. Hey, and always remember that you dropped something.
I did. My phone.
All right, Jimmy, have a good day, man. We will see you guys Monday. I'll let you guys know who will be the guest here as I confirm. Jimmy, again, have a great day. Great rest of your night.
You too, buddy.
All right, there you go. All right, so there it was, Jimmy Smith, TQ Midgets promoter. Want to give a big shout out again to all of our sponsors here at at Let's Talk Asphalt Racing Live, Mike's Auto Works. Make sure you guys check them out, ladies and gentlemen. 440-477-0424 is the phone number. They are located at 1585 East 361st Suite M. Make sure you talk to Mike. Tell him that we sent you over here at Redline Radio. Also, here is another look at the TQ Midgets schedule. Make sure you guys look at this. Some good races that are going on there. They start April 13th. You guys don't want to miss that, especially at Lorraine and Painesville. And then my guys over at R&Z Auto Recycling. Give Zach and Rich a call today, 440-749-3622. If you're looking to scrap a car, if you're looking to sell a car, if you're looking to just get rid of unwanted scrap, they can do it over there at R&Z Auto Recycling. And again, I would love to give a big shout out to the official show sponsor here of the show. That is CMP Race Shop. They are located at 244 Prospect Street, Painesville, Ohio. Give them a call today. Tell them that we sent you at Redline Radio and you heard Dad here on Let's Talk Asphalt Racing Live. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy your Friday night. I'm out. We'll see you guys Monday night. Have a good week.